Can you spot religious symbols that are hidden in Christian art? Today is the second in a series of videos where we look at a few of our paintings in the collection and the religious symbols that are embedded inside them. These are not necessarily hidden, and they're easy to spot if you know what to look for. First painting we'll take a look at is from the Old Testament, and it tells of the story of the finding of Moses, where Moses was rescued from the banks of the Nile by Pharaoh's daughter. The interesting symbol here appears to the right of the painting above Pharaoh's daughter and her maidservants. And it's clearly an Egyptian ruin. And while Egypt was not ruined at the time that Moses would have been there, it was the most powerful state in the region, and the Pharaoh the most powerful ruler in the region. Here, the Egyptian buildings are depicted as ruins. And this is a symbol that the Pharaoh's daughter represents an old regime which is crumbling, and Moses, who she's rescued from the Nile, represents the Jewish people, a new religion, a new people that he is founding. Next painting we'll take a look at is from the New Testament, and it tells the story of the presentation in the temple. According to Mosaic law, when a new Jewish child is born, he needs to be taken and presented to the high priest at the temple. And as Christ was born and raised a Jew, his parents followed this Mosaic law. And you'll see that Mary is holding a cage with two white doves. These white doves are a symbol of Christ's poverty and his humble background. Now, why is that the case? It's because in the Old Testament, Mosaic law says that there are two alternatives for a gift that parents can bring to the high priest in the temple. If they are poor, they bring doves. So here the painter has included doves in the painting as a symbol of Christ's poverty and his humble background. Next painting we'll take a look at is a very vibrant and colorful composition telling the story from the New Testament again of Christ and the woman taken in adultery. And here Christ encounters the scribes and the Pharisees who try to trick him by referring to Mosaic law and the fact that Mosaic law calls for an adulteress to be stoned. And Christ's response, of course, is famous. He says to them, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." And indeed, we see him writing that in the ground as told in the Gospels. What is very interesting and is not so well visible in this painting is the way the artist, who's a follower of Peter Bruegel the Elder, the way the artist has actually inserted fragments from the Old Testament, from the Ten Commandments in particular, onto the vestments of the scribes and the Pharisees. For instance, on the yellow hood we see, "Thou shalt not kill." On the green cape we see, "Thou shalt not steal." And on the yellow robe we see fragments of the text, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thy neighbor's house," etc. What do all these fragments mean? The painter is drawing a contrast between the hypocrisy of the scribes and the Pharisees on the one hand, and the honesty and holiness of Christ. They claim to be without sin, but in fact, the painter is literally indicating on their clothes that they are just as sinful. And the painter has taken the 3 commandments from the 10 commandments to demonstrate that each of these men is in fact guilty of the sins that are written on their clothing. It's a wonderful and deep illustration of hypocrisy at work. Final painting to take a look at today is this wonderful crucifixion by Juan de Borgoña. And in the bottom of the painting, we see a skull and a few bones. And this is symbolic of several different things. First of all, we know the place where Christ was crucified was Golgotha, which means in Hebrew, the place of the skull. So the presence of the skull at the bottom of the painting fixes this crucifixion in the place as told in the Bible. On another level, it's actually indicating that crucifixions have happened here before and that men have died here before, their bones simply left behind. Of course, we also know that this will not happen to Christ. Though he is there on the cross, his bones will not just simply be left behind here. He will be taken away and he will rise on the 3rd day. We hope you've enjoyed this brief look at some religious symbols in the paintings of our collection. Please click on the link in the description to see these paintings and more, all of which are available for purchase at williamavery.art. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel to see further videos in the series.